All right, guys, welcome to Christian Men Unscripted. My name is Seth Lazan. I'm with Alan Underwood and John Harney.
So enthusiastic.
Try it, guys. I like it. But we're doing some, we're trying some different things with this episode, and maybe a few more to come. But wanted to do some short episodes, and I want to ask questions of my hosts because they're my co-hosts because they are just wonderful, godly people, wise. They got lots of life experience, way more than I have because they're like so much older than me. But you guys have gray in your beards. Like, you could be Santa Claus.
Yeah.
That's coming up.
Yeah, it is coming up.
So I want to ask a question first of Alan. So my question for you, Alan, and this is unscripted. He did not tell me this prior. I did not tell. This is unscripted. I want to know, how has your relationship with Christ been strengthened because you are a Cleveland Browns fan?
Do you understand that it is actually statistically harder for a team to be this consistently bad than it is for them to occasionally accidentally be good?
Oh, jeez. Boy.
I don't know if it has. I'll tell you what. Before I started really just gave my life to the Lord, the number one priority in my life, especially during football season, was the Cleveland Browns. And they were always bad. They've never been good. They've had a couple good seasons. I mean, and then they left and they came back and they've never been good. They've been every once in a while they'll be good. Like last year they were good at 11-6, and so I get excited for this year, and they're like 3-10 now. But they were always the number one priority in my life. But now I still root for them. I'm still a diehard fan, but like I can miss a game and then record it. I would never record a game. I'm like, no. Yeah. But so yeah, it's actually now that I have Christ, I'm not as anxious. I don't get as mad. I do get upset a little bit because it's like, hey, you win some dang games, but I don't know. Yeah. It's much easier now when they lose. So but I remember I would be like, God, please let the Browns win, please. And he is definitely not a Cleveland Browns fan because every time I prayed that, they would lose. So I mean, I guess that's how Christ has helped me become a stronger Cleveland Browns fan.
That's your ministry.
I blame my dad. My dad was a Cleveland Browns fan. The first game I ever watched with my dad was with the Denver Broncos Cleveland Browns, and it was the drive where John Elway went down and won the game in the last minute. And I should have known that was a sign of things to come. But I was like, oh, it's a pretty good team. All right, Dad, I'll start watching with you. And, and we're from Youngstown, Ohio. So most people in Youngstown, my whole family on that side in Youngstown is Pittsburgh Steelers fans. And why couldn't I just been a Pittsburgh Steelers fan?
Oh, yeah.
Because I would have just a great life. God really loves the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I guess that's the only thing I would have to say for that. I mean, and then this year they drive me crazy because they ended up getting Deshaun Watson, who, look, I don't like the guy. I believe everybody deserves a second chance. He has a lot of issues going on, I guess, before he got there, and then he got injured. And it was funny is I wasn't praying for him to get injured or anything, but I was hoping he'd sprain his ankle. I'm like, hey, just sprain your ankle so we can get Jameis Winston in there and we watch him play. And then he tore his Achilles, and I felt really bad. I was like, oh, I hope I didn't do that. Yeah, because I don't wish that on anybody, but. I don't ever want to see him play quarterback for the Browns again. No offense. I mean, you can go play quarterback somewhere else. I mean, I wish nothing but the best for you, but I don't know.
But the worst for his new team.
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to stuff like that, it's probably not good to be wishing for somebody to hurt their ankle so somebody else can get in. So it's not very Christian of me. So I guess nothing. It hasn't helped at all.
Clearly it hasn't helped.
Hasn't helped at all. But I will always root for the Browns. It's funny is I tried not to root for the Browns. I'm like, I'm done with this team. I like Baker Mayfield, so I was like, I'll be a root for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I just can't do it. I mean, I hope for the best for him, but I can't.
Yeah, well, that's been the Lions' experience for the last.
Oh, but they're really good. I think they won the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, well, we haven't had anything for what since the 50s. The last championship was in the 50s, and it wasn't even the Super Bowl.
No, I know. Same with the Browns.
Browns, yeah.
So I will pseudo root for the Lions. My mom's from Detroit, and I go out there and visit. And and I root for Buffalo. I root for those blue collar town teams, except for Pittsburgh, obviously.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, in Baltimore, because that's the old Browns. And then as soon as the Browns left and went to Baltimore, they won a Super Bowl. That's great.
Well, that's great. What I like about this that you're always a band. You haven't been a bandwagon fan for you're stick with the Browns even though they're horrible.
Yeah, see, that's my cup too. The Browns.
That's
it's on both sides.
That shows something about your character, though. Like you're like, I'm not going to leave when it gets hard. So
No, I've tried. I tried actually.
You tried it, yeah. Yeah, you're not gonna like for Lions fans. Like I was always a Lions fan, but I always had a second team I was rooting for. So
whoever won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, whoever won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But you know, it's one of those things where people are like, oh yeah, I'm this person, I'm this fan. It's like, oh, last year you were a fan of this other team. It's like, I don't trust you with my daughter. You cannot date my daughter because you're just gonna go for the next floozy that comes your way. So there's some character development in rooting for a horrible team.
Right. Well, I have a lot of character then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's great.
I remember one year they had a good year with Braylon Edwards. Was he a receiver? I don't remember, but it was a really good year, and they won like 12 games, and then the next year they were terrible again. I was like, what in the world? Kelly Holcomb was a quarterback. I remember it was a game against the Steelers in the playoffs. I was like, oh, we're going to win. We're up like 28-0 at halftime, and they ended up losing like 35 or 45-35. It's crazy. I'm like, God, I can't stand this.
Yeah. Well, isn't it funny? You mentioned it earlier, like how you can get so like anxious and upset with people playing a game that you're not playing. Like I used to, I watch baseball, I watch basketball, college basketball, and I remember watching Michigan State Spartans. They're in the March Madness, and they were doing horrible, and I was physically getting like anxious, stressed, angry about it, and as a 30-year-old being like, why the heck aren't you winning this game? It's like they're 17, 18, 19 years old kids. It's a lot of pressure. They're young, and it's like you think like, okay, I have so much emotional, I don't know,
like a connection
there that it's like maybe that, like, I think it was when I was 30 or 28, 29, 30, and I was like, I probably shouldn't be putting this as pressure these 18-year-olds.
It's really on yourself if you think about it. Because they don't know you.
Exactly, right.
Well, that's the other thing I do is like, I'll be sitting in a spot and they'll be winning, and I'm like, I'm not moving. I'm not moving. And then all of a sudden they give up a touchdown. I'm like, I got to go to a different spot. Or I'll be standing up watching the game and they score a touchdown. I'm like, I got to stand here until, I'm very superstitious.
Yeah. So it's funny that that's true, because I would always do the same thing. Like, I would like to stand up, or when things are going good, like I'd be like, and then, but John, that you're saying, like you're putting that pressure more on yourself. Like these 18-year-olds do not have the power to affect me emotionally anymore.
They shouldn't.
Yeah, they shouldn't. Right?
They shouldn't.
Yeah. And guys getting paid millions of dollars should not have the emotional impact that sometimes they do have on me. Yeah. And I think that's a great segue.
One more thing. The other thing, I would always get jerseys, and it's like when you're a Browns fan, they don't last long. And then like I would have all these. My wife's like, "Why are you always getting jerseys with people's name on your back?" I'm like, I don't know. I root for them, and then they're gone from the Browns. Like,
you only get one season, 2 seasons. They get fired constantly.
I actually had a tight end. What's the tight end who went to jail? I don't know. I edited it out because I can't remember his name.
Over the years.
Yeah, there's several. I feel like that's the jail.
Kellen Winslow Jr., man. That guy was Miami tight end, and he was great, and he got drafted. I'm like, this guy's great. He was good for a couple of years. He ended up riding a motorcycle, hurting himself, and then I think he's in prison for like raping a elderly lady or something.
Oh my gosh.
I got rid of that jersey.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Boy, that's a whole topic in and of itself, but I want to very quickly butt in, because going all the way back to your first question of Alan is, you're not a fair weather fan, right? Mm-hmm. Actually, there's that whole thing, and Seth, you could probably more quickly come up with like certain verses biblically as a Christian. I like the, what do we call this? It's analogous or whatever, that you can look at this as a Christian life, right?
Yeah.
But all the weird superstition stuff that everybody does, we all kind of do dumb stuff. You see sports fans especially, right? They're like, oh, you got to stay right exactly there. They finally got an interception while you were standing there with your hand.
You were in the bathroom. Right.
So you stay in the bathroom. Yes. Yeah. Everyone does that, and it cracks me up, right?
Yeah.
But actually, what I like is the Browns is a great example, Alan, of a Christian walk. You come to know Christ. Yes, you're saved for eternity. Yes, you can have real joy in spite of happiness, if that makes sense.
Right.
And so the character of not being a fair weather fan speaks to the character of a Christian, and you see it in the Apostle Paul, where he says, I got this thorn in my side. Mm-hmm. I pray that God would remove it.
Yeah.
But, here I am anyways, right? Like, basically, like, I'm still, like, there's that song. It's like, even if you don't. Do you remember that? Was that Mercy Me or something?
Even if you don't.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that one.
Those are all the words I know.
I know, that's what sucks. I can't think of the word.
Those are the words you just said.
But we pray for a change. We pray for something better. You know, you've got to, there's, of course, terminal disease and horrible things. But whatever circumstances, we still have to say, God, but yet even if you don't remove this, even if you don't fix this, even if you don't provide this, I still know you to be true and real, and I still know that you are working it out. And that's a decision made by faith. Yep. And so in one really dumb aspect, being a Browns fan compares the same in that, you know what, I'm still just a fan and I'm going to follow the Browns. Now, that's a really weak, and really crappy, but it is kind of the same thing.
Well, and that's the thorn in my side is the Cleveland Browns.
So there you go. So, you're like Paul, I guess.
Yep, I'm exactly like you. I'm a martyr. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for that. Thanks for bringing me down on this day. All right, bye.
Be blessed.
Yeah.